All right, I found my board. Welcome to Studio B. Put my vault down right there. Unlock your brain. Well, now it's time to unlock your brain with the case study. There have been some headlines this week, and thank you again to whoever sent that in. I should have taken your name off there and given you a nice call out here that said, hey man, what's going on with Burger King? You got this thing about they're paying $1 billion for franchises. What are they buying more stores? What are they doing? Well, let's talk about Burger King. I talked about McDonald's several weeks ago, and in the trailer for this, we're going to give you the link to the McDonald's case study so you can kind of compare the two and see what's going on in fast food land. So, Burger King, by the way, that's the new logo. The logo is back. The old Burger King is back. The old blue circle, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, is gone. So it's back to the future with Burger King. So let's talk about what's going on. This is what I got the comment about, that person sent in. Burger King is buying its largest franchise for $1 billion. What's going on? Is Burger King doing okay? Where did they get the $1 billion? Why are they buying a franchisee? Is that like one location? Nope, a franchisee opens lots of locations, and they're buying 1,000 locations, right? And then they're going to resell them to smaller franchisees. So basically, they're buying this one because they think it's in trouble. They're going to spend $500 million to remodel Carol's Restaurant Group. So Carol's Restaurant Group owns a whole bunch of Burger Kings. That would have started out with 1 or 2 owners, and then they bought buying them until Carol's Restaurant Group owns 1,000 Burger Kings. That's a lot of Burger Kings. And Burger King's going to say, stop, you guys aren't having the best time of it. We're going to help you out. We're going to buy you for $1 billion. We're going to put $500 million in, and then we're going to sell them back to other franchisees. This is called a hiccup, because you want to just be putting new ones so that today you have 13,000, you open a new one, 13,001. Right now, they're buying 1,000 of them, fixing them up. And if you've probably been into some of them, you go into one, you say, by the way, you don't go to McDonald's, you don't go to Burger King, you end up there, right? It's because there wasn't a Chipotle nearby or something like that, because this fast food, we know there's a lot of sodium in it, and it's not the best for you, but you know what, whatever. Anyway, let's go through it and let's talk about what happened. So, first, where it began. Way back, these guys, James McLemore and David Edgerton, and they created the first Burger King, believe it or not, in Jacksonville, Florida, in 1953. 1953, it's 2023, so what is that, 70 years now? I think it's exactly 70 years coming up. More than 70 years, a little over 70 years. So these two guys, Burger King, and you can see home of the Whopper up on the sign behind them. Back then they're looking kind of styling, for guys of that time, got his Ray-Bans on. And it was called Instant Burger King. And they had been out to McDonald's in San Bernardino and seen the McDonald's brothers operation in San Bernardino, and they came back and said, you know what? We could get this assembly line thing going, and we could go even faster. So they came back to Jacksonville. San Bernardino is in California, like way over here, and then Jacksonville is right down here. And so it's as far apart in the US as you could practically get, unless you were in Seattle and Miami. So they sat there and said, we can do it better, and we can build it up, and let's go do it. So that's where it started, 1953. So, and once again, I got this weird things going where things are showing up not on time. Ugh. It's like my PowerPoint's like baked, but that's okay. We'll go right through it. 1960s. They get into the 60s, and they actually sold the whole thing to Pillsbury, and they made a bunch of money. And then Pillsbury, Pillsbury Doughboy, Pillsbury flour and stuff, Pillsbury bought Burger King from those guys. So those guys got it up and going, got a bunch of places there, and then made bank when Pillsbury bought it from them. Then the Chart House, you heard of the Chart House, the steakhouse Chart House? Chart House bought a franchise, and there's 2 guys that were inside Chart House, this is the way the story goes, that were in the restaurant business, and they said, we're in the restaurant business, and we're making steaks and everything, white tablecloth Chart House thing, really good place to go, date night, with a really nice date, or an anniversary or birthday, but Chart House, a nice steakhouse. Those guys, they're thinking restaurant business. Well, people like steak, but if this is in our thing, restaurant, we understand food, we understand how to run a restaurant, maybe we buy one of these franchises. So they bought one in 1963, and 7 years later, they had 350 of them. 350. So take a look at that. From 1963 to 1970, it's 7 years. They were opening 35 a year, if you think about that. Because, wait a minute, no, 7 and 350? They were opening 50 a year. So 50 a year, that's like one a week. These people were on a tear. So they would, that sounds like they would be pretty important to Pillsbury that owns Burger King, right? Well, guess what? You know, they have all those locations. They were really, really driven, and they pushed Pillsbury really hard. So hard, in fact, that Pillsbury finally got fed up with it in like 1978, 1979. Basically, Pillsbury and these guys operating the 350 were fighting, you know, about how they run the business, what they do. And Pillsbury actually sued Charthouse in 1984 and said, screw it, we're going to buy all your locations for $390 million. You know what? That is just bad, you know, because Pillsbury's running Burger King. Well, I think, as I look back at it, that basically Pillsbury, they were running Burger King, but it wasn't their core business. They were making very corporate decisions. And guess what? A founder wouldn't have done it that way. And if you want to read about McDonald's, go watch the movie The Founder. It's Hollywood's version of it, but you're going to get a sense for what Ray Kroc was all about and how he drove it. This wouldn't have happened under Ray Kroc, I don't think. Well, nonetheless, then this company called Grand Metropolitan Investors buys Pillsbury. So now they own Pillsbury. Then you get to the 1990s, and Burger King was running along, have it your way, the Whopper, competing with McDonald's, but McDonald's was far ahead. Then in 1992, the reason I mention this is because this was kind of a defining moment. In 1992, Hurricane Andrew destroyed the headquarters for Burger King that was in Miami. In Miami-Dade, they used to call it, the area. Well, when that happened, it was time to rebuild and do things, and it was also kind of a moment there in the history of Burger King. And 1997, Grand Met, these guys that had bought Pillsbury, they merged with Guinness, and they created this company, Diageo. And guess what? You continue through history into the 2000s. Guess what? These guys, and by the way, you know that name. If you know the alcohol and spirits industry, you know who those guys are. They said, we're only focusing on beverages. And TPG and Bain and some others bought Burger King for $1.5 billion. Then, guess what? Now that they owned it, they did an IPO under the symbol BKC, took it on the market. 2010s come along. 3G Capital of Brazil acquires the majority stake for $3.26 billion. So in something less than 10 years, the 1.5 became 3.26. That ain't bad. You know, actually it was a little more than that when you figure out that this was only a majority stake. The value of Burger King had gone to almost $6 billion. And they take an IPO again because once they bought it, whoop, private. A couple years later, 2012 is IPO. And they're out on the market. Then in 2014, anybody that knows Canada knows Tim Hortons. It's a coffee shop, donut shop, big chains of them up in you know, Canada. And they rebrand this merged company called Restaurant Brands International, RBI. And then they announce we're closing 250 low volume locations. So take a look at this. What does this tell you? This tells you that the history of Burger King wasn't like McDonald's. McDonald's was there. Ray Kroc, go public, go. Burger King starts over here, gets bought by Pillsbury. Pillsbury runs it very corporately, fights with some of the franchisors, sells it to this group over here. That group gets bought by Grand Met. That group then says, yeah, we'll sell it to these guys. They create Diageo. Then they're like, I'm only going to focus on beer and spirits or alcohol. Maybe we'll take it public again. And then these other guys buy it. Then they merge it with Tim Hortons, Restaurant Brands America. That is a long, bumpy history. That's like a lady that keeps getting divorced and remarried like 5 times, right? That is not like a long, stable life. So what did that lead to? By the way, that's what we call a backdrop. That is a backdrop of corporate history and culture. So the 2000s, they had actually fallen behind Wendy's to 3rd place in early 2020. I think 2020, I saw a report that said they were absolutely behind Wendy's in total revenue, unit sales sold here in the United States. Interesting. But they brought back Have It Your Way. And I don't know if you remember this, and I think 22, it actually kind of went viral on TikTok of all places. Have It Your Way, with the young generation that thought it was kind of cool. Well, they certainly needed somebody to be buying those burgers. And then this had been the logo they'd had for a while, and they went back to this, which is, if you see the old Burger King signs, that's what it looks like. There's still a few Burger Kings that are out there right now with this logo. The kind of circle logo was designed to look cool. They got some highlights on there, make it look shiny. But now we're back to this. So 2023-24, Q1 of this year, 23, a 90 unit and 115 unit franchise filed for bankruptcies. 205 units, locations go bankrupt. In November, just a couple months ago, 172 unit franchisee files for bankruptcy. So in other words, when Burger King's not doing a good job making Burger King cool, having a good menu, you're operating the Burger King and you're at their mercy. If they have a good menu, it's tasty, with good marketing that works, guess what? Your life as a franchisee, you make bank because people are coming into Burger King. If not, it doesn't happen. So take a look. They then buy Carol's Restaurant Group, 1,000 locations. That's where the story started on page 1. So basically, Burger King right now, inside of this RBI, is been having issues, and they're trying to make yet another comeback. And they're changing the logo. I don't know that changing a logo does much. You know, marketing people come in, first thing they do is change the logo on something. And they say, hey, it's part of a new vision. I've never bought that. I don't know that this versus this is going to make me buy more burgers at Burger King. Do you have Happy Meals? Are your French fries tasty? Everybody knows that the tastiest French fries in the world are McDonald's. 1,000 taste tests have come and gone, and for the last 30 years, McDonald's French fries are always #1. How about work on French fries that are tastier than McDonald's? How about work on the food? How about work on what the value pack looks like? Instead, no, we'll change the logo and we'll force all of our franchises to change the logo and go all the expense of changing everything. Not just the printing on a bag. That's easy. You print bags every month, right? You're printing more bags. But now you're going to tell them to go change their sign, change things in there, and the franchisees are having to pay for it. Really? This is going to sell more than this? I don't think so. I don't think so. But nonetheless, that's what they did. So let's go take a look. So what they're doing here, the strategy they have is they want to take control. This is the company-owned stores they had here going back 20 years. This is 20 years here from 2003 to the end of 2022. And they've got 50 company-owned stores here and 19,000. So they had all these company-owned stores, and then what they did is they, sold them to franchisees. And they've been growing the locations. But you can see this bumpiness that's here. So the solution is you change your logo. So you're telling me that your growth here, you had 20 years of growth with that same logo that we just saw there. And you're telling me change into this is going to fix this problem? No, man, it's your food, it's your menu. It's the fact that this was COVID and people couldn't go out all the time. Get it right. Get the right thing right, the basic thing. Tasty food at a good price in a clean restaurant. You don't need to change the logo to have franchisees have a nice, clean place. It's a place you can take your kids and grab a quick burger on a Saturday. Nonetheless, now they're having franchisees filing for bankruptcy. That's your problem. See? And so now they're coming back saying, maybe we'll buy back some of these and then we'll sell them to the other franchisees and continue our growth. But this is definitely more than COVID. This is more than a COVID hiccup right there. So how is RBI doing? Well, take a look at this. This is that restaurant group that owns Burger King and Tim Hortons, and I think they own Firehouse Subs. You can check me in the comments there, but I think this group here, the restaurant group, is, they own that. Well, take a look here. They're up 113% all time. So going back here from 2016 to here, so that's basically doubled. They've gone to 40 to just about 80. So, okay, actually a little under 40, just about 80. Okay, great. So over 5 years, that's pretty pretty reasonable. It's a long, slow growth stock. There's a lot of things at COVID. We saw that jump down in the bar on the other side, sales, but it's really not, as they say, it's really not blowing air up my skirt, going down here. And they've had 20 CEOs at Burger King, I believe, in the last 35 years. Check me on that, but I believe it was 35 years they've had 20 CEOs. Are you kidding me? Or maybe it was all the way back 50 years. But even that, let's just say it's 50 years. That's one new CEO every 2 years. It's like, that's like, vision, execution, leadership, that's bumpy. Well, now even the group that's bottom has had bumpy times, although this stock has got more in it than just Burger King. Tim Hortons is in here, and I believe Firehouse Subs. So nonetheless, it's not exactly, big recovery and run back like I showed you on the McDonald's chart. So now, speaking of McDonald's, I found this, and this is taken from annual report information. And I even went in here and replaced it with the correct logo, their new logo. Well, you can see, and in the McDonald's case study, we talked a little bit about the issues McDonald's was having, right? So here you've got McDonald's at 19 billion, call it 20, and Burger King at 4.975. So McDonald's 4 times bigger than Burger King, and you go back here, 24 and 4, they were 6 times bigger. Well, Burger King has maintained some things relatively flat, but they've had the same kind of little bit of a COVID, a COVID drop there. But this is only through 2020, so it doesn't take you to COVID recovery. But it just shows you that fast food was being deselected by American consumers, even as the population of America was rising, staying specifically in the U.S. market. And it shows you that McDonald's has always been 4x or 5x bigger than Burger King. Burger King just needs to get itself straight. And by the way, right about here, over here, you also had Burger King actually falling behind Wendy's in the US. So that's really saying something, because a lot of people thought of Wendy's as 3rd place behind Burger King and McDonald's, and then thinking of In-N-Out Burgers and Five Guys as being the better burger, but only in regions, and not really trying to, crank it out the way Burger King and McDonald's do. And as a matter of fact, you go to California and you go to a In-N-Out, from 11 a.m. almost till 11 p.m., the most populous areas will have lines around the In-N-Out constantly, to the point they're running 2 lanes, and they have people out there, even with raincoats, and there's this little kind of a laptop, iPad, taking orders, going out there, greeting you and everything, doing everything they can to crank it through. And it shows you, and then you go to Texas and stuff, and Five Guys, always a line. So you have these, the much better burgers that you get at Five Guys and In-N-Out versus the pure fast food angle here. But you see the way these guys have been fighting, and you see where Burger King has been. The answer is, if they want to stay in front of Wendy's and they really want to grow, or just grow, forget who you're trying to get in front of, just see if you want to grow, they just got to get the product right. And I don't think it's about the logo. So what are the lessons for you and me in all this? What can we learn from Burger Wars and other things associated? Well, the first thing is, you've heard me talking about it today. Change the logo. People say, oh, we need a new vision. The logo would talk about marketing and a new vision. Maybe, but when you got franchises out there, that logo that they had, it wasn't woke. It wasn't like, remember, there were some things during the peak of wokeness, some brands that they took away mascots and images that were on the brands because they said they were racist, or they were, kind of reflecting back of a different time. Nobody came to their Burger King and saying, hey, that circle with the blue on it, that's woke. No, there's nothing to do with that. It's just, they just decided to go back to the old logo. And there's typically, that's much less productive than focusing on sales and ops and getting the product right. So do not be tempted in your marketing. For you and me, you hire a marketing person, oh, let's mess with your logo and make a cooler website. Well, if a cooler website means let's make web commerce or e-commerce work properly, do it. If it means you're going to have a better selection process so people can contact you quicker with a form, hey, about us, check in for information, and you're going to link that into a texting thing so one of your salesperson gets a text and can respond in an hour, do it. Do all those things to your website, but monkeying with make it mobile adaptive so it works just as well on mobile phones as it does on a full-size browser, do it. But change the logo and everything because the new marketing person just says that's what you need. Focus on sales and operations. Make it all work better. Make it work better to do what? Boom, sell product. Make sure product market fit. And common sense about focusing on PMF always gets lost in the shuffle where marketing says, hey, it's a marketing problem. No, it may also be what's known as PMF, product market fit. As America has been more conscious about sugar, America's been more conscious about sodium and about fat. What can you do with your products maybe to have less of that? And it's more than putting the calories up on the menu so that you look up on that and you see that a Whopper with French fries and a medium Coke is 1,100 freaking calories. It's more than that. It's focusing, but you're not going to turn it into a salad place. But is there things you can do? Is there things you can go part way to get there? Maybe. And so product market fit isn't just about today's consumers, it's about today's changing consumers. And that gets lost in the shuffle when you think all you need is another ad campaign, bring back, have it your way, and change the logo. Get the product right too. And then put the good marketing on top of a great product, builds traction. And lastly, when you get back to that marketing, be quantitative. Systems, processes, people, dollars spent better be a lot less than sales gained. Simple thing. How much did we spend on total marketing? How much did we raise the sales by? Or how much sales are we getting consistently with this marketing? You better be that your incremental sales, whatever you grew from this month to next month, better be less than the marketing you spent. Otherwise, you're losing money. You're spending profits that could be in your pocket on that. It's a wider discussion. But for you and me, whether you're running a t-shirt company in Berlin or you're running a technology company in California, all of it stands up. PMF, quantitative marketing, and then as long as your brand is well presented, your logo is probably fine. And don't be tempted to go down this route and just believe that if it was just somehow different, that's going to change it. Nope. Product and quantitative marketing is the path to glory, starting with PMF. That's the lessons for you and me. So now you knew a little bit about that, and you're talking a little bit about Burger King and what's going on with all those franchises. The answer is they haven't run the perfect business, and they've been losing franchises that went bankrupt. And they're also buying some back, and they're trying to rescue them for $1 billion and sell them to the other franchises. If the marketing is also met with better product and everything they're putting on, then guess what? Those 1,000 that they bought that they're going to spend for $1 billion, that they're going to spend $500 million redecorating, recustomizing, or reinvesting, whatever they're doing, changing the sign to the new logo, all of that, if that yields fruit, then guess what? Then those 1,000 franchises will be eagerly purchased by current franchisees, smaller franchisees. They're going to say, hey, we're in the middle of a bounce back. Thank you very much. I've invested in you. I'm running 50 of them. I'll take 20 more of those that you just fixed. That's the way it goes when you run a franchise business. So I hope that was helpful. I hope it unlocked your brain. I'm going to get my vault and go back to the studio and wrap up.